judges ready? Is the timer? Affirmative team? Yeah. Battlefields.org states that the Civil War was the highest human catastrophe in American history. The Civil War forced the young nation to confront death and destruction in a way that was not been equaled before or since. Over 620,000 Americans were killed. This is a high cost. We can all agree that slavery in America needed to be abolished, but that is not what we are here to discuss today. War should not be our first way of arguing our beliefs. When we look at the value of national unity and the criterion, we didn't need a war to end slavery. We needed wide legislation to protect it. We need to choose peace and unity with compromise. Good morning, my name is Briley Flowers, and I stand against the resolution that the slavery issue was a justified reason for the Civil War. Observation 1, definitions. I accept the affirmative definitions for the first round. Observation 2, value. The affirmative value was happiness, but I propose that national unity is a higher value. Observation 3, criterion. My criterion is diplomacy and legislation is a way of solving problems without war. Observation 4, contentions. Contention 1, peace. The United States went through a devastating civil war to end slavery, the deadliest war in America. Have you ever thought about how the British ended slavery in their colonies? The answer is peacefully. It happened 25 years before our 13th Amendment. Tag. Some historical people say Lincoln was blinded by his desire for a moral country that he chose war when diplomacy could have worked. Quote, one very famous essay, Abraham Lincoln and the Self-Made Myth. Quote, all Lincoln's actions went to nothing, and his personal intentions were not in the way of slavery. He was willing to risk all and risk the future of his country, and he didn't live for his countrymen, so that he might hold high office. And this is Michael 2020. Criterion 2, compromise. Britain ended slavery earlier than the U.S. and without conflict. Tag. Other nations ended slavery without destroying national unity. Quote, the National Archives, UK Slavery Abolition Act 2020. Quote, slavery ended the British Empire in 1834 and was accomplished by legislation, compensation, and not by civil war. Summary. There are other countries that had slavery in them, but they were willing to peacefully change the laws and make it not have slavery anymore. So what is our price of freedom? Tag, British Parliament set aside a sum of money to buy back slavery peacefully. Source, Richard A. Limondell, Professor of Economics, 2020. Quote, as part of the political requirements to ensure the act adoption, Parliament agreed to compensate slave owners for the loss of their property so long as the toll did not exceed 200 million pounds. In the end, it was only 19 million pounds. Slavery could have been ended peacefully by paying off the slaveholders in the colonies, just as the British did. Quote, according to the paper on the Civil War published by Harvard, the cost of the U.S. Civil War was $3,365,846. Summary: although this seems less expensive than Parliament's solution, this doesn't account for all of the American lives lost in the Civil War. Now let me address the affirmative's case. The affirmative tried to tell you that the better value here is happiness, but this isn't the most important thing. The affirmative's criterion was the pursuit of happiness, which war does not make people happy. My question for her is, what did the war really do? Are there any alternatives to war that have been accomplished by other countries with the same result? Were slaves' lives better after the war? Was the country better after the war? In conclusion, under the value of national unity and the criterion of preserving the Union, the Civil War directly undermines unity in killing over thousands and nearly destroying the nation. Therefore, the Civil War was not the way to end slavery, because it violated the core value and ignored proven peaceful strategies like the British had and we had before the war, and the country Brazil did after. I urge the judges to reject the resolution and vote for unity. We are not here to talk about slavery in the way that, I am not fighting that slavery is not wrong, but we didn't need to have a devastating war to kill it. Thank you, that's all my time.